It's time to experience the O on the Original Sports Podcast. Here's your host, Mark Meriday.
Hey, Original Sports Podcast. This is Mark Meriday, your host, and my guest today is Jeff Potter of Jeff Potter Baseball. Coach Potter has been involved with this game for, I don't know, forever, I guess. At least he tells me it's been forever. I can't imagine that. Coach Potter, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mark, but you don't age me here. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time.
I promise not to. Hey, I'd love to tell them how many years you've been involved in baseball and all about you, but why should it come from me? It should come from you. Tell us about you, Jeff. Tell us what your background in baseball and what got you so impassioned in Jeff Potter baseball.
Well, you know something, Mark, I've played baseball since I was a little kid. I mean, that's the first thing we did when we were kids back in Western Pennsylvania. You know, you played baseball. That was the sport. And, from 5, 6 years old, we played baseball, pickup games up at the field. And, it was great. And anybody that's of our age or of my age will tell you in the summer, you left in the morning and you didn't come back until, your mom said, be back by the time it's dark. And off we took to the ball fields to play. So anyways, I played ball since I was a little kid and I've always loved the game.
Did your mom text you when it was time to come home?
I don't think she had that at that time. I'm not sure. No, I don't think we got any texts. I know what we got when we weren't on time, though. So
yeah, it's better that you were at the ball field than watching TikToks, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit more about you. You started playing when you were a little kid. Did you play in high school?
I did, Mark. I played in high school. I played up through Little League and what we called Pony League and Colt League in high school. And I grew up in a little town called Elwood City, which is in Western Pennsylvania. Played ball in high school. I guess I was a fairly good ball player. I got drafted by the Detroit Tigers out of high school. So
did not know that.
Yeah. So I played a little ball there and I loved it. And again, I was pretty good at it. And of course, when you're good at something, you love it more. And when you love something, you work at your skills. So anyways, played through there. I got drafted by the Tigers. I played in the minor leagues a very, very short amount of time, broke my wrist, and that kind of put the end to that as a pitcher. I was a left-handed pitcher. So anyways, but I always loved the game when I was a kid growing up, and just some great memories of playing ball.
Everybody has a claim to fame. What was your claim to fame when you were playing in your short stint in the minors? What spectacular thing happened to you while you were doing that?
Well, I'm not sure anything spectacular happened, but I tell you what, my only claim to fame, I guess, would be my first minor league coach was Jim Leland.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. So, it's funny because I was an 18-year-old kid and I went to spring training in Lakeland, Florida. And, here's Jim Leland. And I guess he got drafted by the Tigers, before that, didn't make it as a player, but came back as a coach. And he was young at the time. I mean, I don't think he was much older than us, to be honest. He might have been 26, 27 years old. But anyways, they shipped me out to what they called the Midwest League, which was in Clinton, Iowa. And there he was. Jim Leland was my coach. And so it's funny, how things happen. And of course, I got out of baseball for a while. And all of a sudden, he's with, I think, the White Sox, coaching third base. And Tony La Russa kind of pushed him to get the Pirate job. And all of a sudden, he had a great career. So
he did.
Yeah, you kind of look back and say, hey, I knew that guy when he was just a minor league coach in the A League. So he had to work, just like players, coaches have to work themselves up to, Double A and Triple A and what have you. So I guess that's the most exciting thing I can tell you about that.
That's actually pretty interesting, to be honest. Was he a chain smoker then, like he was when he got to the Pirates?
He was. And I got to tell you, I got to tell you another quick story too. He was a chain smoker. So anyways, my son went to the University of Maryland and played baseball. And so he was in his, I guess, after his soft junior year or whatever. And here he calls me one night and he says, hey, Dad, I got to show some kid around campus tomorrow. He might come here and he's a baseball player. He's Jim Leland's son.
Oh, wow.
And I said, what? He says, yeah, he got drafted, but you might come to Maryland. So anyways, so I said to him, well, if his dad's with him, I guarantee he'll hide behind about 5 trees smoking a cigarette. And he called me later that night, laughing. He says, "You're right, man. He was just every time they would go somewhere, he was puffing that cigarette." But yeah, even in the minor leagues, he'd be smoking cigarettes right in the right inside the dugout. So oh yeah, he was a chain smoker then.
He was a little older than me, but he dated a girl. Like when I was in college, he dated a girl who lived across the street from where I lived in my fraternity house. We would see him going in and out of there from time to time.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was always a big Leland fan. I thought he was Mr. Baseball in Pittsburgh. I liked him. I liked Bill Verdon, who was another great Pirate man. Danny Murtaugh, and then we just kind of Pirate baseball. So anyway, your coaching career. Did you coach Little League? Did you coach in the pros? Tell us a little bit about your coaching career.
No, I just coached about 12, 15 years, just basically teenagers from the ages of 11 to 17. I coached a lot when my son was growing up, and I stayed with it. So I just enjoy the younger kids, to be honest. I mean, when they get older, 15, 16, it's kind of like they have their own way. But basically, I like to have the kids have fun. When they're younger, I want the game to be all about fun. Because even now, especially now with all the travel baseball and things like that, once these kids are 13 or 14 years old and the travel team gets a hold of them or the high school gets a hold of them, they're going to do what they want with them anyway. So it's really silly to try to, do much with a 11, 12, 13-year-old kid in terms of anything like that. You just want to keep the game interesting for them. You want them to be passionate about it, have fun playing it, and you don't want to take the joy out of playing baseball from them. It's and then of course when they get a little older, you hand them off to somebody else. But I'd rather work with the younger kids, and a lot of my coaching were 13, 14-year-old kids.
I got to be honest with you, and my son. I talk a lot about my son on here, and I have a daughter who played softball. Actually, 2 of my daughters played softball. The one stopped at around, 11 or 12 years old, but the other one went on to play through high school. And, we never pushed the kids to go beyond, even if they displayed the ability to go beyond where they were, we never pushed them. Didn't need them to play travel anything until time was right. For my son, he plays, Little League baseball, and he currently plays a rec league hockey with the ability to play on like a select team when he does that. But I really don't want my kids, and I felt this way about my daughter, and I feel the same way about my son. I don't want them to be burned out on playing sports as they continue to get older. I see it happen so many times. I talk to kids at my high school where I teach, and we've had some really good, especially girls softball teams, state championship team, runner-up and stuff. And some of the girls I've had in class, and some of them, I have one girl, she literally pitched for a team that just met up on the weekends in different parts of the country. She was that good. As a 9th grader, she led the team to a state title pitching. But anyway, long story short, she told me once, I had her in class, I think I had her for health and first aid. Anyway, long story short, she told me she was done after high school. Yeah. She was a hell of a player, but she's like, you know what, Meredith, I don't want to do it anymore. I've been playing. It's all I've done. I've missed a lot of my teen years growing up, and I don't want to do it anymore. And that's the approach we took with our daughter that is, played. And that's the approach we have with our son right now. So I get it. I totally get where you're coming from with your approach to coaching. Who are some of your early influences? Obviously, Jim Leland having some cigarettes. He knew some baseball. He probably gave you some insight too. But who are some of your early influences?
Well, I think my biggest influence was my high school coach, Bill Spellman, and he was what I would consider a very good coach, great coach, and he was a disciplinarian, but he was fundamentals, basics, things like that. He drove that home, and the one thing about him, you didn't have any stars on his team. You're all good teammates, and you understood where you were.
Sure.
Quick story about that. I was a sophomore in high school, and I just pitched a no-hitter, okay? A couple starts before that. So I was pretty I was pretty full of myself, if you know what I'm saying. Okay?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So I'm out there a week or so later, and we're playing for first, but I'm a sophomore, and we're playing for first place. We're playing against Hopewell, and we're winning 2-1 the last inning, and I'm pitching. And 2 outs. There's 2 outs, and all of a sudden, I let 2 guys get on base. Well, here he comes out of the dugout. Well, you know something? I couldn't believe it. I mean, here he's taking me out of the game, you know, me. Can you imagine that? You know, so it comes toward the mound and, you know, and I kicked a little dirt. I took my spike and I kicked a little dirt. Took the ball from me. We finished the game. I never pitched again that year.
Wow.
Never pitched again that year. No. He felt that I showed him up. No words, no real yelling. I just kicked a little dirt. But, you know, to him, that was just a disrespect. And I never pitched again that year. Never pitched again that year. Never saw the field again. And, you know, I came back as a junior, and I guess I'd learned my lesson. You know, I think I needed him more than he needed me. Sure. And, you know, so I come back, and I had a really good, you know, junior year. But that was how he was with everybody. We had another kid that was a pretty good ball player, and we had practice one night, and it was raining like heck, and he didn't think there'd be practice, and all of a sudden, you know, he didn't go. He didn't check. He didn't go, and the next day got called in his office, and his name was Chucky Nardone, and said, Chucky, you know, I need your uniform. You're done. You're off the team. So he went back and begged and pleaded and all that. He got back on the team, but the point was, I mean, there were no stars, you know, and I really had a lot of respect for him for that. You know, if you did something wrong, you know how kids are now, you know how travel ball is, you know how that they'll look the other way. They'll make an example of one of the kids that's on the bench all the time and say, look, I really have good discipline here. You know, coaches will discipline those kids that sit on the bench, you know, but boy, you take that star, it's very difficult for them to do that. And coach did that back then, and it made us all feel, you know, that we're part of a team, and we, you know, in a lot of ways, everybody was pretty humble. So I had a lot of respect for him.
You know, the thing is, today you could never pull it off. You could never pull it off today. I tell you,
absolutely not.
I pretty much have absolved myself from coaching unless I'm working with my son's team or whatever. But I coached for the longest time, and I coached all kinds of sports. I coached baseball from the time I was 18 till, you know, I can't even tell you how long. I love the game, but I don't want the headaches that comes along with it. You could not do that as a coach today. You could not do that.
Couldn't get away with it. Couldn't get away with it. No.
I've been following this story out of Western Pennsylvania about the coach at Penn Trafford. I don't know if you heard about that. He just won the state title last year. He came in there and he was beloved by the community, by the parents and everything. And the players, they did, you know, they had their piece, they did their whatever. He ain't going back there. There was something that went on underneath that they let fester long enough that it got to a point that after the season was over, they just decided no more. But, you know, you just can't do it today. You can't come in hardline with the kids. You can't come in and act like, you know, it just can't. That's just the way it is in the world today. You could with my kid. If my kid needs to be sat down, but so Potter baseball, tell us how it was born.
Well, I guess it started probably about 12, 13 years ago. I'd written a book on baseball called Whatever Happened to Baseball. And the book talks a lot about the game of baseball, not only how hits changed, but how we have changed. And, you know, when we were kids and it was all about teamwork and discipline and, you know, all those things, hard work and all that, and things have changed. Things have changed over the last 20 years of ball. You know, and we've changed, and we expect less, and we allow more things to happen. Like you just said, you couldn't get away with that. You couldn't have the discipline now. So, you know, I sent this book to several people I knew. I said, look, I just want you to have the book. You know, appreciate if you read it. If you like it, you know, just let me know. And so I sent it out to a bunch of people, and they seemed to like it, most of the people. And then I had this idea. I said, I want to do like what they used to call barnstorming, you know, where you'd take a group of kids and go to a town. You'd go and play maybe for the weekend and play some ball, have some fun, have a picnic, and just have fun with the game. So I had sent a letter out to 16 people that had read my book and really liked it. And I said, I have this idea. I'd really like to come to your town and maybe just, play for a day or so and barnstorm. And I was hoping somebody would say, okay. I was hoping someone would take me up on it. Well, all 16 said, okay.
Wow.
So, yeah. So now I had a dilemma, right? How am I going to get to 16 different places? So what I did was I started the Potter Tour, and that's how the Potter Tour started. It was like, I took the 16 places and I said, this is what I'll do. I'll go to all 16. And that's what we did. I put a schedule together, and the next summer, that's exactly how the Potter Baseball Tour started in 2010. And we went to these 16 towns in over 25 days, and we played a lot of baseball and ran some clinics for kids and all that. So that's how that started, and that's how my tour started. And we just started calling it the Potter Baseball Tour. And along with that, I take kids to Cooperstown, and I have 3 berths every summer. So I do that a little different. I don't take teams necessarily. I take kids. I take kids that don't have an opportunity to get there. So we put those together. So between the tour, the 3 Cooperstown teams, doing some coaching and writing a few books, that's kind of just how Potter baseball just started. And so we've just kind of grown from there.
Do you go year round? What do you do in the winter when baseball season has slowed down?
Something, Mark, what I do is I stay in touch with all these people. I probably have, I guess 1,500, 2,000 people I stay in touch with. Kids that have played for me, parents, this and that. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing how much they might want a little information, or they want your opinion on something or that. But, I like to stay in touch with these kids. I want to know what happened to them, where they go. I mean, I'll travel and see them play other sports other than baseball. I'll go to their concerts. I'll go to their track meet. I'll go to, their play. I'll just, show up. And I like to do that. I like to travel a lot. I like to see the kids that I've worked with. I like to see what's happened to them.
Sure.
So many times you have kids and, you coach them and, but, it's interesting, really, what you've given to the kids. You find out if you've, given them these life lessons that really you feel that are important. Are they good kids? Do they listen to their parents? Do they work hard? Do they have a job? Do they give back to charity? So I do a lot of that. I still write. I've written 3 books, so I do a lot of writing. I just do a lot of traveling and talking to people and seeing people. And I work on the tour year round, because once it's over, I start planning for the following year. So between the baseball and other things, it keeps me busy.
Yeah, I bet. Hey, your summer camp, you come to town, you come in with a bunch of kids. What do you do at your summer camp when you bring them in? Specifically at a camp for the kids that you're coming into that town to be with.
Yeah, we've run the tour for 11 years now. This will be our 12th year. And it started out, as I said, more barnstorming. It was just almost all baseball. It's kind of evolved now into a lot of community service and charity work. So most of the towns we've been back to for years and years. So they know who we are. They know what we do. And it's kind of neat because they can change from, year to year what they want us to do. In other words, if they want us to play a baseball game, we'll play a baseball game. We'll run a clinic for them. If they would like us to do some community service, work on their field, work at the food pantry, do something else, we'll do that. So every year when the tour is over and I start planning for the following year, that's what we do. I have what I call a tour director in every town, and we talk about ideas and what we might do, what they want to do. So I kind of leave it up to them, the idea of what they might want to do for a day or so, because my kids get to see all of it. So we're on the road for about 30 days, 32 days in the summer. So they get to, one day they may be, playing a baseball game and running a clinic for kids. The next day they're at a food pantry. And the next day they might be out in the field, building a backstop, So it's kind of neat that they get to see so many different things. So to answer your question, it's really, it could be anything. I mean, and if somebody wants us to come to their town, we'll sit down and talk and we'll figure out what will work well. I mean, if they want us to raise money for some sort of cause, we'll do that. So we just like to kind of leave it to the towns and kind of empower them to get involved with what we do.
When you say you play a game, though, who do you play? Like you come in with the 12, 15 kids that are with you on your caravan, who are you playing? You playing an all-star team from their team or what, or from their town, or what are you doing there?
Well, the word all-star is taboo with us. We don't like the word. We don't play all-star teams. We don't play travel teams. We don't do that. Most of our games now have been evolved into more like pickup games. So we come out just for the fun of it and play a game. And it's almost like a pickup game. It's kind of like our kids. When my kid says to me, "Hey, coach, I never get to play third base on my team. I never get to pitch. I never get to do that." Well, they know they can do it on the tour. So even when we go into town, I kind of let the people that we're playing against know that, and they know us over the years. So they understand that they're not going to put a showcase team together. They're not going to have their top pitcher thrown against us. We're out there to have fun for 2 or 3 hours. I mean, that's all these games are now. It's fun. It's not to show off or, puff out your chest and, I'm going to beat you and I got my best pitcher and he can't hit you. That's not what the tour is about anymore. It's about having fun and going out there and just having a good time.
What are some of the projects you guys have done that you're, I guess, hang your hat on, what you're most proud of, some of the projects that throughout the course of time over these 10 years?
Well, we've worked with an organization called Cure Search for about the last 7 years, and they work with pediatric cancer. And we've raised a lot of money for them. We run a volleyball tournament every year in Butler, Pennsylvania. We've run that since 2011, and Cure Search is usually the recipient of the money. So it's not a lot of money. We might raise $1,200-$1,500, but over 8 or 10 years, that adds up. And not only do we try to raise the money, but the neat thing is that you're giving the organization exposure. So now people understand about Cure Search and what they do and what's important. So we love doing that. We work with a organization in Chesapeake, Virginia called Rock Solid. They build playgrounds for kids with cancer. Same thing, we raise $2,500 so we can buy the playground, and then our kids go out one day with people from Rock Solid and we build the playground. So what happens is a little boy or girl that has cancer, they think they're going to go out for breakfast. A limousine comes, takes them away, and when they come back 4 hours later, they have a playground in their backyard. It's really a neat thing, and it's very cool. So we do that when we're out in Ohio, Cleveland area, Medina, Ohio. We work with the Miracle League, and of course, that's kids that have handicaps and things like that. We built ball fields. We've worked at food pantries. We have a Stuff a Bus program where we literally fill a bus with food for kids. So we do that in Butler, Pennsylvania. We've done that in Red Line, Pennsylvania. And we just do a lot of what I would consider neat things, getting out there, building benches, fixing things, working at parks, whatever the town wants us to do or needs us to do, we're willing to do. I don't think we've turned anybody down for anything that we could possibly do. So, and if we're not doing that or building something or cleaning something up, we're running some event to try to raise some money.
This is a loaded question. What are some of your favorite towns that you go to every year? It might have like a restaurant that you'd really like to eat at, or,
well,
just
I know, listen, Mark, I know where you're from, and I know you've heard of the Villa.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. So we've been to the Villa 4 or 5 times because we've done tour stops in Leechburg and Freeport and that area. And we try our best. We try our very best to make time to go to the Villa. And first year we went there, it was the first year of the tour. And I said to the kids, get what you want, eat what you want, but don't order anything large because they got small, medium, large. Don't order large. Well, half of them ordered large. And about 20 minutes later, I'm walking around. These poor kids, they've eaten maybe half of it, There's nothing like the Villa. I mean, it's great food and it's a great serving and all that. So anyways, we love to go to the Villa. We have 6 or 7 ice cream places along the way that we go every year. They have a place in Elwood, J&T, and Four Bushes, and we hit those. And there's a place, I think in Leechburg called the Scoop or something. It used to be the Scoop, so we hit that. So we try to, we get our fair share of ice cream. And of course, some of these kids that we have on the tour, like they're from Clarion, PA, and up there, believe it or not, they don't have a Chick-fil-A within an hour of them. And
wow.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's a big deal for them. Now I have 3 Chick-fil-A's within 5 minutes of me down here in Maryland, but to them it's a big deal. So can we stop at Chick-fil-A? And but yeah, there's some, and I guess a couple of the my favorite towns is definitely Butler. We've been to Butler since 2011. I say that because we've probably done more things in Butler, Pennsylvania than any other town. And of course, I'd like to go back to Elwood because I'm from Elwood, but
Sure.
but we've done a lot of things in a lot of towns, and you know, we like going back. The people like us coming back. We stay with host families, so the people, you know, we have people that we can stay with. It's just really neat. You know, at the end of the day, we go back to their house, and that's when we can kind of relax and kick back and just, you know, just talk about things and all that. And that's my favorite time of the tour, though, is when you can get back with people you know and just kind of, you know, sit back, have a cup of coffee, relax, and, you know, just talk about things.
What I love about what you're telling me about all this stuff is it's a throwback to yesteryear, to be quite honest with you, where, um, you know, I'm sure kids have a phone with them. I'm sure they, you know, do their thing with those, but this really takes you back, like when you talked about early on what you did as a kid, how, you know, you left the house early in the morning, you went to the baseball field, you played all day, and then you came home at night and you ate supper, and that was it. It was dark out and you were done for the day. It kind of takes you back to that kind of mentality, and I think that's really healthy and great for the kids that you do that really gives them a different perspective on life, and hopefully that builds for them a nice base going forward in their life to carry on and to teach their kids. You know, it's not necessarily about the modern technology that you have. It's about having peace with whatever you're doing and enjoying it without having to have something in front of your face with a screen on. And that's, you know, pretty much where you're headed, and you've done with Potter baseball at this point. Now, let's say, for example, my son's only 11, but let's say he's 12 years old and he wants to get involved with Potter baseball next year because he'll be 12. How do I go about getting him involved with Potter baseball?
Well, if he was, I think I mentioned to you, if he was interested in going to Cooperstown, for instance, that's for 12-year-olds. So that they have that every year. I have 3 berths, and the way I put the teams together is basically first come, first serve. And we don't try to put a showcase team together or an all-star team. I want good families. I want good kids. I want kids that will appreciate the fact they're going to Cooperstown. So that's an option for people. Now, when the kids get 13, then they can go on the tour. And the whole thing with the tour, if your kid was 13 and you said, hey, he wants to go on the tour, what do we do? The first thing I'd do is I'd come to your house, would sit down for an hour, hour and a half, and I'd tell you all about the tour. I'd tell you and your wife and your boy about the tour. And I tell you what, I spend more time probably trying to talk these kids out of going on the tour than going on the tour, because I never want a kid out there that says, you know, you didn't tell me this, you didn't tell me that, it's harder than you think. So by the time I'm done with this kid after an hour and a half, if he still wants to go, I know he wants to go, because we tell him, you know, it's hard work. It's hot. They're long days. You're going to work 12 or 13 hours a day. You know, you're going to be on the road the whole time. You're not going to be able to use your phones all the time. You're always going to be around people. You're going to have to talk to people. And as you know, Mark, these kids today, they don't know how to have a conversation with them.
No, they don't.
You know, they don't know how to do it. So we force them. We don't really force them, but they're around so many people every day that they have to engage. I mean, that's what they got to do. So they learn to talk. They learn to, you know, do things like that. The little things that, you know, that we don't do anymore. So they do a lot of that. So, but we sit down and we talk. And if after, you know, we're done talking, they want to come on the tour and you think it's a good fit, then that's what we do. Put them on the tour, and you know, we take them for about 30 days. And every day we're in a 15-passenger van. We're going from town to town, and every day is different. We do different things. Every day we have a different captain, which is really, really interesting. First day of the tour, you know, I say, who wants to be captain? Every hand goes up. They raise their hand. After about a week, I say, who wants to be captain? Not one hand goes up. Not one hand. You know, it's like, because they have to understand that you're responsible. You know, if your buddy didn't do what you told him to do, you're still the responsible one. It's like having a job at work. You know,
Sure.
if a worker bee doesn't do it, the owner doesn't go to him, he goes to the manager. You know,
Exactly.
you can't point to the guy and say, well, he didn't do what I said. No, it's your response. So it takes them a while to understand that. But being a captain is really neat because you plan out the day, you have to figure things out. If we're having a clinic with kids, you know, who's working with who has the water, how long are you going to do this? I mean, so you need to really organize, you know, when are we going to eat? What are we going to eat? What if something goes wrong? What if it rains? And we throw this on back on the kids. I mean, when we do projects and that, the parents don't do them, the kids do them. And we're there to help them, but if they run into a problem or a slight problem, they got to figure it out. So they have a lot of that. So if the kid, after me talking to him for 90 minutes, really still wants to go, then I feel really comfortable that, you know, he'd be a good fit. But once the kids get on the tour, I must tell you, they in general, they love it. They love it. Oh yeah. The biggest problem I have is they won't call their parents. I mean, they just won't call their parents. You know, it's like, you know, get calls from the parents. You know, can you tell Tommy to give me a call? It's been a week, and you know, so which is good because you want kids out there that, you know, feel confident and feel fulfilled and stuff like that. So that's kind of neat. So we have the Cooperstown, we have the tour. I think next summer I'm taking a group of kids out to Idaho, believe it or not. So we're going to go out there and I think spend a week. So combine some baseball with a little community service. So we're going to do a little fishing and stuff like that. So we like to do things that are just a little different than what everybody else does. And we try to find a good fit for, you know, for every kid.
Who chaperones with you?
Well, the last couple of years, I've been very, very fortunate to have the same chaperones. I have me and 3 other ones. So we have 4 chaperones. School teachers, it's an ideal thing for them because they usually have the summers off. And if they can get away for a month, they do. And I do feel that the chaperones love being out there too. It's
Sure.
really amazing how they build a rapport with these kids because, believe it or not, these kids will talk to us and tell us things that they're not going to talk to their parents about. They're not going to tell their parents. They're not.
Let's remember, I'm a teacher. That happens all
I know.
the time.
You know that, you know, they're getting bullied in school or they have an issue with something, and you know, they feel, you know, they can talk to you, and so you know the chaperones do a lot of that, you know. And listen, we get to see 25, 30 different towns every year. So every day you're going to a different town with a different culture, different things. We're doing different events, and no, the chaperones really like it. And I'll have 4 chaperones again this year. So we're pretty fortunate in that area.
So you said you're going out to Idaho next year. Would you like to see Potter baseball spin off out in that direction, out on the West Coast? Would you like to see different branches of what you do with leadership, taking them out and doing things under the name of Potter baseball? Is that something?
You know, yeah, it'd be kind of neat to see that. I mean, I'm not pushing that. I've had some people ask me to come to their area that live, for instance, up in Maine and in Chicago and stuff. And logistically, it's just really hard for us to do, you know, because, you know, just with all the travel. I mean, if we did things like that, we'd be traveling half the time and doing nothing.
Yeah.
To where, you know, now, I mean, our longest trip might be 3 or 4 hours. We get in the van early in the morning and be somewhere and be productive every day. So, but no, I mean, as far south as Atlanta, I mean, I know people, you know, all over that said, hey, can you come here? Would you come here? Would you consider coming here? I mean, I'd love to branch out and do something somewhere else, maybe even, you know, smaller, you know, maybe 10 days and stuff like that. I mean, I'd love to do it year round, to be honest. I'd love to do one in the summer. I'd like to do some things in the fall. Now, if I knew we had COVID 2 years ago and kids would be, you know, available to go year round, it would have been great. But obviously, that's the biggest problem there. But I'd like to do something on, you know, when kids have winter break and stuff, take them away for a week and do some things. And so, yeah, I'd love to branch out. But you know, we've kind of branched out with what we're doing here. We go as far, you know, we go down to North Carolina. We go to Mount Olive, North Carolina. We go to Cleveland. We go to Virginia Beach. So, you know, next year I think we're going to go to New Jersey and New York. So, we're going to branch out a little more, and yeah, we're excited.
What's your ultimate goal? How about this? Jeff Potter finishes doing Potter baseball because whatever, you're tired, but you still want it to go on. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want the ultimate goal to be uh, uh, when you're done actually leading these tours?
I think the probably the neatest thing that could happen is a couple of the kids that have been on the tour take it over. That'd be really neat,
Yeah.
because now some of these kids, when they started, they were 15 and they're 25 years old now. They're 26. Yeah. And there's a couple that have shown interest in doing that. I think that would be really neat if they could do that and just kind of, keep it going. But the big thing is just, these kids learning these life lessons. I mean, I think that's the most important thing is to, I really, really get a kick out of hearing things from people. I mean, I've had several mothers after the tour call me and said, "What happened to my boy on the tour?" I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, he actually talks to his sister now. I mean, they actually have conversations. He really cares about her now, and he actually has a conversation with her and asking questions about, things that are going on." I mean, wow. And you want these kids to learn these life lessons, but you want them to understand that they're really neat things to learn. They're not hard, they're not difficult. And actually, when they learn to do things and open doors for people, and yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and serve people first and stuff, it's no harder to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's no harder to do that than what they do now. So for it to be something that sticks with them, and sticks with them not because they're told it's right, but sticks with them because they understand it's good. It's the right thing to do, and it makes them feel good. And I'd really like, to see that. And, I get so many letters and phone calls from people, and I have lunch with a lot of these kids. And I had lunch today with a kid that was on the tour. We sat there for 3 hours and just laughed and told stories. And, "Hey, Coach Potter, do you remember this?" And, he's doing this now and he's doing that. And I got kids that are pilots now and really cool, and they're engineers, and they're getting into things, not because necessarily they're on the tour, but that might have had something to do with it, learning hard work and learning to put in the time and understanding that nothing comes free in life. And so, as you know, Mark, the thing is you want to see the people that you've dealt with learn those life lessons and use them in life. And that's the biggest thing that you can get out of this.
The difference between you and I is I follow under some strict guidelines as a teacher. I can model to a certain degree a level of respect and expect it, but I can't necessarily demand it. Whereas you model and infuse a level of respect with a small group of people that inevitably embrace it and continue to carry it on. And you're to be commended for that. Like I said, it's a throwback to a time when we were less busy and more engaged in the world around us, as opposed to a quick trip down, let me get my phone and look this up, or let me go ahead and text this person and set this up over here. And we're thinking, I talk to people all the time who say, "I'm so busy." Well, just stop for a minute. Stop and smell the roses. And that's what you're doing with these kids. You're teaching them how to just slow down right now as a 13 or 14, or I think he even said 15-year-old, and just kind of embrace the world around them before they're thrown into the fire, and they have to be a super responsible individual.
Yeah. And the saddest thing, Mark, is I as you know, I couldn't do this in a school. I couldn't, you can't do this anywhere else. I mean, I can do it on my tour because I get the trust of the parents. And, but it's all with that first meeting that we have, that they understand how it's going to be. Now, this is what's going to happen on the tour, and it's really going to happen. And now that, we've been to towns for years and years, people understand. And even the host families, for instance, they've known us for 6 or 7 years. So they treat these kids when they're in the house, like I would treat them. And in other words, parents, the host parents will say, "Hey, I'll do your clothes. I'll do your clothes. Put them in a pile right here. If they're not here, they're not getting done." Or if they pull something, they're told, like, that doesn't happen here. You don't do that here. And they know that there's no repercussions. They know that I'm not going to be upset at them. And that the kids know when they go into someone's house, they need to show the ultimate respect. They really do. So it's a pretty cool thing. And I enjoy doing what I'm doing because I'm smart enough to understand I couldn't get away with it anywhere else. And I can do these things, and like you said, you can instill these things that you just can't do in a school or in another, way. So
it makes it more. I personally, your whole venture makes it more rewarding than anything, because the inevitable feedback that you get from it is because you've allowed them to grow, you've taught them values and manners and respect, maybe reinforce them to a certain degree, and in the long run you see as they grow older how it's impacted their life, because each and every one of these kids, whether you want to believe it or not, has been positively impacted by you. So if I had a hat on, I would tip my hat to you right now. Let's talk just for a quick second. Why did you choose to take teams up to Cooperstown? What made you want to do that?
Well, I was with an organization that happened to get a berth, and their kids went, and it was available. And with Cooperstown, if you have a berth and you keep using it, you have it. If you give it up, you lose it, and then you have to reestablish and try to get a berth. So, anyways, there was one available, and nobody wanted it. Nobody was interested. Their kids had gone, so what? So, I said, look, I'll take it. And of course, I didn't have a team. Mark, I didn't have a team. I just said, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So I put 12 kids together. I mean, that's what I did. I found 12 kids. The first year, that was 2009, I believe. And we put a team together and we went up. And then I've been lucky enough over the years to get 2 more bursts. So now I have 3. So now, but I see the impact it has on the kids. Cooperstown is a fun place. It is a really neat venue for kids. And, there's very, very few kids that have ever gone up there, or families that said, I didn't have a great time. I mean, they all have a great time. Just let the kids play. The way they put it together, so many kids together, all the games, they got 22 fields. I mean, it's just, in the town of Cooperstown, it's just absolutely beautiful. It's just, up in northern New York. It's just a lot of wineries and breweries in a small town, little cafes, and it's just the feeling of going into the park is just really cool. So it's an easy thing to say, yeah, I want to go back. And that's what we do. I take kids back every year. Now, this year, unfortunately, they've been running into some issues the last couple of years with COVID, but we'll be back next year and we'll have our 3 teams, and I'll put 3 teams together. And
does every team get to play on Abner Doubleday Stadium?
They do not. No, that really has nothing to do with the Cooperstown Dream Parks. But they have enough fun there. They trade pins and they get videos of games and they get their pictures taken, and they stay in barracks with coaches, and they love that, of course. And it's just cool being away from that. I mean, the parents come to the games and see them, but they don't stay with them, so it's pretty cool, little independence there.
And that's a week-long venture, right?
It is. Yeah, they're guaranteed 7 games, and it's just a really neat thing. So you could play I've had teams that really got kind of hot on the last game, the playoffs, and won 4 games. So they've played 11 games. So, it's, if you get lucky, we just put teams together, though. We never try to put a showcase or a travel team together. We want the kids to have fun. They understand the expectations going up there. They know that, if they win a couple games, that, that's going to be good. And so they've been very competitive, and it's just been a great venue.
Let's talk about the coup de grace, why you and I are actually sitting here having this conversation. I know you're taking on a big undertaking on June 30th. Share some details of the virtual Guinness Book of World Record you are trying to break.
Yeah, well, we're trying to break the world record. With the challenges of COVID and everything else, it's been interesting, but I think we're on track. We've gone kind of on track the last week or so. So basically what we're doing is that we're setting this up virtually. We were going to try to do a world record together. Nobody can, guarantee we can put that many people together with this COVID. And I certainly don't want to, try to put all this together and someone says no. So months ago, I decided, well, let's do it virtually. I mean, I know people in a lot of different areas. Our tour goes to a lot of different towns. So the concept is that on June 30th, 7 o'clock at night, we're going to have people all over the country playing catch. And we're going to be videoing that and getting people together. So wherever the tour team is that night, there'll be a nice big screen there. And we're going to try to set up some screens at other places. And as we're playing catch, we'll literally be able to see people all over the country playing catch. My goal is 8,000 to 10,000 people. The world record is 1946, but that's everybody together. There's really no, that I know of, any virtual world record other than that. So we're going to try, I'm always a big thinker here. So I'm thinking 8,000 to 10,000 people. I think the last 6 weeks, it's really, really going to take off. We have the registration set up. We have 50 of the towns already signed up. I have 50 more that we're going to sign up. And then, because a virtual location can literally be anywhere. It can be at a ball field. It can be a baseball organization. It can be in your backyard. But a lot of the virtual locations we have are set up in tour stops, towns, and we expect to have a couple hundred people at a lot of these places. So it's really a neat concept. It's like $5 for kids, $10 for adults. All the money goes to Cure Search. All the money goes for pediatric cancer. Nobody makes any money out of this. All the money is donated, which is really cool. And you play catch from 8 or 10 feet away. So this isn't kids, throwing these balls 60, 70 feet and balls flying everywhere in chaos. This is a very structured thing here.
1,946 is the record, and you're shooting for between 8 and 10,000.
We are, yes.
Perfect. You should be able to break the record easily if you get to 8 or 10,000. Would you agree?
I would agree, and we're pretty excited about this whole thing. So I just can't wait. I'm super excited.
Well, I'm trying to do my part on my end. I'm going to get this out. Hopefully, my listeners will embrace it and spread the word like we're spreading the word. I do one final segment on my podcast, and it's called "We Just Got to Know." For you, you've run your camp, volunteer efforts through many locations, along with a lot of young people being involved. Tell us a little bit about maybe 2, 3, 4 of the moments while doing some of this stuff that you're most proud of, like something that made you say, "Wow, this really made a difference in a life or a community."
Well, I think I mentioned the things that we really kind of enjoy doing a lot. We work with this company called Rock Solid, and we started that about 4 years ago, and it just came through. One of the people that run the tour, the mothers, kind of recommending that to me. And that's the neat thing about the tour. The way it's grown is from the people who have been on the tour. They pretty much throw me ideas. In other words, they've had a great experience. And they say, "Hey, Jeff, you can do that." And they're excited. They're off the tour, their kids off the tour, but they're still excited about, "Hey, Jeff, this could make a difference or an impact." So she gave me a name and I followed up, and all of a sudden one thing led to another. And, the first year we raised $2,500. That's what you need to do this. And everybody's like, "Well, how are you going to, we're just going to do it. We're going to make it happen." But we went down, we helped put this playground together, and it was just so cool because, like I said, the kids do the work. I mean, literally the chaperones kind of watch, but the kids are doing the work. And you just saw these kids little by little. They started out and they weren't sure what they're doing. They're drilling, they're screwing things, or, we're putting footers in and we're helping them. And now they're just, and it just started pouring down rain. I mean, as hard as it could possibly rain, it was raining. And we put, they had tents there. We figured that out. And here we are under all these tents, running out, putting things there. And then all of a sudden, we get a little further and the sun comes out and we get done. But these kids, you could see it building in them. You could see that they started, "Oh my God, how are we going to do this?" And all of a sudden you could see, this is kind of neat. And by the end, you could see that they took pride in doing it. They built this playground. They built this playground in 4 hours. And they looked around and like, it was neat because all the chaperones are there and it's like telling them you did it. And it's like that. And you can just see the confidence in them. Like, hey, I can do this. I can do anything. I can build anything. I can accomplish it. And it's kind of neat because a lot of places where you have this stuff, you go out and, the parents build it and the kids watch a little and might get a hammer once in a while. Yeah, but no, they do all the work. And it was just very satisfying. And, you just see some of the parents that are there, they're crying because the boy comes back and, he has cancer and, they blindfold him and then they come out and all of a sudden there's this playground. So mom's crying, dad's crying, the boy's crying, the tour kids are crying. It's just a great, you could tell that it really, they built the confidence of building this and then they saw how it impacted the person they did it for. So, if that stays with them all their life, they're going to understand that, hey, hard work is great because now I feel better about myself. But not only that, I'm going to feel good because I made somebody else feel good. Sure. I did something for someone else. That's one of the really neat projects that we've done. And the other project we did last year, which I think is really neat, I played ball in Elwood City, but there's a community about 2 miles away called Coppell, Pennsylvania. It's between Elwood and Beaver Falls. And I think you know where Beaver Falls is. Yeah. But I was there. Yeah, there you go. I was there a year and a half ago or whatever. I don't know. I had to get on Coppell for a reason. I delivered a couple shirts to somebody, whatever. And I left them off at their door. And, I get in my car and I go around the corner of Coppell, which is not a big place. It has 6 streets. And I'm staring at the Coppell baseball field, Mark. And I played there as a kid. We played Pony League there. We played Colt League there. This field was a mess. They hadn't used it for 25 years. This was just a absolute mess. Got a hold of Mayor Coppell. We raised some money. He says, you can't do this. I said, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to raise the money, which we did. We went there for 3 days last year during the tour. We fixed up the field. We built dugouts. We made a field. And Mark, the day of the tour that we were supposed to be in Coppell, all these guys came back that I played ball with as a kid. There's probably 200 people there. And it was like, oh my God, Jeff, I can't believe this field. I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you guys did this. And I said, well, the kids did it. And here the kids are out there and they're the ones building these dugouts and putting mortar down and fixing the field. And we had to cut out the whole field and the bases, the pitcher's mound and backstop, everything. And here, the last thing we did was we played a game. Here, all these Coppell boys came back and they're playing against each other and they're laughing and having fun and they're kids again. They're kids again. It took them back to being a kid again. And that was just a really rewarding day.
Kind of like if you build it, they will come, right? Yeah,
there you go. Absolutely. So,
hey, Jeff, it's been fantastic. Coach Jeff Potter, tell us again how we can get involved in the Cure Guinness Book of World Record attempt.
Yeah, I'll get you the link, Mark. I think you have the link also, but basically the registration's right there. I can send the link out. I'll put it on my website. I'll put it on my Facebook page. We're going to do that. And then you just click on the link and you can sign up. There's 50 locations now and sign up at any one of them. If it isn't there, there's another location that says other, and you just click on that. And if you click under other, we'll get your location put up on the thing. And
we can go to jeffpotterbaseball.com and find it, right?
Yes.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, Coach Potter. It was fantastic talking to you, and good luck in your attempts. And we look forward to hearing about all the things you're doing with these young people as you keep progressing through Potter baseball.
Well, I appreciate the time. Thanks for having me, Mark. I really appreciate it.
We're going to tell you a story of heroes and warriors who played for the glory. We're about to see it in your stadium chair. We know all your teams and we can go on for days. It's game time from the original. Highlights and playoffs and very special guests. It's game time on the original Sportscast show by the best.